All right, everybody, what is good? This is Mr. Composition, the MC that writes fiction, and today we are going to do a Black Clover chapter 261 breakdown. If you saw my previous video, it was more so the theories as far as what the leaks that was out, and so currently we have the exact translation of what is going on. And so, what I want to do is I want to run through the chapter, and in between, um, what I'll be doing is doing basically saying different points as far as different theories. My personal theory at this point is after really diving into the chapter, I kind of think that this may be crazy. I'm just gonna throw it out there. But what if Yami got captured on purpose? Now, what I'll do is I'll go through the chapter and I'll explain as far as why it is that I think that. Definitely the cover is amazing. You have Asta with Yami's sword all rusted, and you have Yami with his face with his back towards us, not facing Asta. And what this makes me think of is a lot of people like to think of like the foreshadowing, but there's been a lot of comparisons of Asta basically being the next Yami. As far as it happening, there's still some, little glimmer of Yami dying, but I don't think that it's going to be anytime soon anymore. And I'll explain a little bit further why I believe that at this point. So when they first get into it, they're back at the Clover Kingdom, and they are being healed. What's his face that did the Owen? Yeah, that's right. Okay, so they're sitting there with Owen, and this is remnants of chapter 80 after they came out of the water temple and Asta was getting seen by Owen for the first time. And there was kind of like deja vu as far as him telling him back then that, yeah, there's nothing I can do. He's healthy, but that arm is, out of my expertise. And so Owen was saying that y'all are lucky that y'all had light injuries, and he would rather have the other healing mages take a look at Asta. You can see Finrolls and Vanessa's face, and they look so distraught, and they were saying that it's because Asta and Master Yami had protected them. Then they go into they switch it over to Gray and Goosh, and Gray's asking uh, Owen. Gray's asking Owen like, "Hey, can you give another like a proper look at Ghosh?" And Owen was kind of like taken back. He's all like, "Did he really get hit with a giant sword?" And then he goes on to explain that this is beyond recovery. His very tissue has been reassembled, and this is from the official translation, which is kind of different from before. um and then he goes on to say the true nature of your magic may not be transformation. And it was like dot dot dot. And that's very interesting because that goes, Gray has always been just a mystery, even her actual name. But if you remember on chapter 66, when they're in the water temple, and there's already a mystery. Charmy and Ghost was just saying like, what, I've never actually seen, and they think it's a he and everything like that. And then she comes out. But then also, this reminds me of chapter 139, where the Eye of the Midnight Sun come and they infiltrate as far as the Black Bull base, and Gray was just all like, I learned a new spell, and she was able to do a magic conversion. And then not only that, but then we dive into where um, we dive in chapter 244, where she's super distraught about Ghosh being stabbed, and so she's just all like, it's embarrassing, but I want you to look at me more, a stronger me. And Vanessa's just all like, Gray, she closed the wound. No, this magic is. And then she's like, Gray, you. And then, before she can finish, Asta gets like laid the fuck out. But, so there's a lot of mystery. So it's just like, what is it that's Gray's actual magic? But they say that there's going to be a captain's meeting later on, so the best thing that y'all can do, Owens, just like the best thing that y'all can do right now is to actually rest up. And so there's a couple of things that I want to go into with this. Since the time skip, we've really not seen much of everybody else. It's been a little sprinkle, and then like in the TV and the anime though, they're showing these very particular scenes with very particular people. And this is why I have the theory that Charlotte may be pregnant. Now, a couple of things that people had brought to the attention was the fact that when Yami first came on the scene on chapter 244 at the end, he's wearing, it looks like it's Captain Rose's like rose on his belt buckle. And so then we dive into the actual anime, where they just had this whole thing where Charlotte's trying to, get closer to Yami, and so they have like this little dinner thing, and then at the end, they kind of, were a little bit closer than they've pretty much ever been. And so we haven't seen Charlotte since the time skip. We haven't seen a lot of key people since the time skip, and that's the reason why I say like, I don't know, maybe there might be a possibility of Charlotte being pregnant, and so moving forward, Asta's in the bed, he's alone, and then he wakes up, he's panting, and then his arm is acting a certain way, and so then Yami's sword comes out of his grimoire, and I thought it was very interesting. Like, he's like posted up with the grimoire, like literally on his bed, like people be having their cell phones and shit. And so here it is, freaking Yami's sword coming out, and I don't know what it is about this, but there's so many different ways that Black Clover can go, especially if they're trying to make it like, as long as they're making it now. As far as Yami's concerned, the interesting thing is that I gotta find the chapter, but there's a time where Yami's sword actually broke, and he was talking about how expensive it was to get it fixed. Now, we haven't seen Yami with any other weapon, so if he does not die, it will be amazing to see him sport a different weapon moving forward, a different type of sword. I think that that'll be really cool. Or if he's able to do, I don't know, it would be really cool to see him with a different weapon. But then we also have to look at Asta. Like, what exactly is Asta? Now, he's 16, yes. He can definitely get taller for sure, but he does seem kind of shorter than normal. So there's this theory that maybe he could be, a dwarf, or from the dwarf race. The fact that he can wield these weapons, the Demon Dweller, Demon Destroyer. And so it'll be interesting. We've already been introduced to elves. We've been introduced to fairies and spirits. We've been introduced to now the demons and the devils, and there was like slight reference to the dwarfs wave. So it would be interesting to be able to go on more where they can take this. So, other than that, Asta's running out, the hospital, and there's these shadows. Like, it's the shadow of the hospital. And as he's running, he's just all like, I can't move. And then there's these feet, and it's like, where are you going? And then we get to the next page, and Asta's like, "What? Who's that? Is it his magic that's holding me here?" And he's like, "I have to go save Captain Yami." And the hooded figures are like, "You can't. You are no match for the devil host on your own. Where are you trying to go? There are two others who are just as strong." And he's like, even the devil you're counting on has given up on you as hopeless. You don't understand that right arm very well either. And he's just going in, and then Asa's just like, how do you even, you don't even know Yami. And he's just all like, I'm very familiar with him. And he was just all like, he's rough and violent. He gets all these different characteristics, and Asta sitting up there going through his head of different memories. And then he was just, the person behind the hood was just like, if he's lost, he's just an idiot. And that, honestly, if you remember back in chapter 248, with Magna and Luck, and remember Magna was trying to use as far as the rune magic, and he wasn't able to do it, and Luck was all like, leave him alone, Asta. If he can't get stronger just because of this, then that means he was a guy around that level only. And that sounded kind of messed up, but then I hear this and it's kind of the same. And then there was another situation between Asta and and he was just all like, well, glad you, if you would have died or whatever, that's just like how strong you were. So it wasn't, it was just super real. And of course, like, Asta doesn't want to hear this stuff, and so he's like, demon destroyer, then boom, he calls it to him, and he's about to attack the hooded figure, and the hooded figure was just all like, psych. And then all of these shadow heads start piercing him down. And the hooded figures are like, a Yumi who can't defeat me will never be able to rescue Yami. And Asa's just all like, remembering what his demon had said, it's your fault for being weak. And then you see Asta just break down. This panel is so detailed, it captures so much of the emotion. I've heard people say this is probably the most depressing chapter, and by far, like, it's pretty bad. Just knowing how bad Asta's worked hard for everything, it's just like, damn. You don't want to see his face like that. But the hooded figure is all like, you're a fool, but, and then he starts to remove his hood, or her hood. You're a good person. I like you. Don't worry, Yami's still alive. And a horn comes out of the person's head, and Asa's like, Weg? He's all like, who the heck are you? And he's like, I'm the vice captain of the Black Bulls, Nacht, or however German for it means night. And he goes on to tell Asta, if you want, I'll teach you how to use the devil's power. And it's like, what in the world? So here's the thing. There's a lot of things that have been pre-set up. So if you look back on, when first this appearance in chapter 246 of this hooded figure, he comes out the shadows. And we hear before, Captain Yami is just like, there's other members that are out doing stuff. How that this person has been a spy in the Spade Kingdom. For one, I want to say that, and I could be wrong, but I think Yami I think everyone kind of, not everyone, but very key specific players. Like I think Yami, I think um, the Wizard King Julius, I think they kind of knew and they kind of wanted this to happen. I wouldn't even be surprised if William was in on it as well. Now, I could be reaching, but I just feel like, for one, what's going to be the time? Is there going to be another time skip that goes on? Because now, that, like, after they have this meeting, because now it's time to recoup. These are our losses. This is what we know now, and there could be a level of ignorance as far as the Dark Triad is concerned with everything in regards to, oh, don't even worry about it, like, y'all are gonna try but y'all are gonna ultimately lose type of thing. But I feel like there was I feel like there's gonna be another type of situation, like when the Black Bulls came barging into the courthouse with Asta. I think there's gonna be something similar when they come busting in through the door when it comes to save Captain Yami and William Vengeance. But I really feel like this was kind of set up. I think there could have been a chance that Yami got captured on purpose. There there's so much that's going on. What'll be really crazy, now I'm just throwing this out there, we don't really know too much from where Yami's from, but he has this dark magic. He just also happens to have a whole squad full of like arcane stage mages. We're seeing certain developments of characters like Gray, like Fergolion's younger brother, like Charmy. And I feel like there's going to be, after this arc, there's going to be like, oh man, I don't even think we could fully imagine how dope. But wouldn't it be crazy? Wouldn't it be crazy if for the Spade Kingdom you had not be the spy for that kingdom, but what if Yami was the spy for the for the Spade Kingdom? That would be crazy. That would be so crazy. I don't think that that's exactly what, I don't think that that's going to be a case, but I don't know. There's just something brewing that I don't think any of us are really, really expecting. But I'm excited. I'm excited. For one, I want to see a lot of the other captains after the time skip. There was another YouTuber who had mentioned that there's two people that he's kind of like waiting to see what their reaction is going to be, and that's Captain Jack and Charlotte. And I mean, we can't forget about Julius as well, but like I said, there's a possibility that it was on purpose to get them taken. you know but who knows. It said death in Black Clover has been very, very interesting. Remember, so far there's 3 ways that we've seen people come back: through the soul abductor, through Roddy's, and through Julius's spell with his time magic, and then just straight up reincarnation. So who knows. I'm not sure when it comes to Asta's arm. I'm curious to really see where this goes, because the captain of the Black Bulls knows. I'm curious to see how much information they know, how powerful they are, and it's really just, man, I'm so curious to just see what's next. So hopefully there's no delay. Chapter 262 coming out. What are y'all's thoughts? What are y'all's thoughts on Asta's arms? Do you think that there's a possibility that Yasta and William might have got captured on purpose? Maybe not even William, maybe it was Yami, but who we'll see. And do you think that there has to be a delay? How does, even though they have both pieces as far as William and Vengeance, is there any additional things that need to be done? How long is Date knocked out for? Is there like a period of time, a certain full moon that this has to be acted on? Like, what are y'all's thoughts? Leave a comment. Again, this is Mr. Composition, the MC that writes fiction. Peace.